Good evening, everyone. It says that this Hangout on Air is live, and we are very, very glad to be with you. Good evening, Sassenachs. I'm Fumbi with We So Nerdy, and I'm here with Katie. And we are back again to chat with you about the latest Outlander episode, Heaven and Earth. How's everything going, Katie?
It's going. I said this just a little while ago, but this episode felt like the doldrums to me. It was kind of static and kind of slow, and last week the doldrums was very interesting, and this one it just kind of it puttered along, I guess.
But yeah, I would agree with that. It felt like, I know last week was supposed to be sort of stagnation in the storyline and in the character movement, but this week more felt like that. And I mean, that's fine. I mean, we'll talk about that more later, but I certainly echo that sentiment, Katie. Before we get started, before we dive in, I just want to remind you guys that our full recap of Heaven and Earth is live, and the link is included right down there. So please, when you have a chance, take a look, read it. There are 3 new clips from the episode, including the Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ scene at the very end. So take a look at that and relive that moment. And there's also a new image of Captain Leonard and Claire as well. So take a look when you have a chance, and please leave comments, etc. Any reminders before we get started, Katie?
No, I mean, just check out the recap because it's outstanding. And you know,
Thank you. That's very sweet.
You're welcome. It is. It's outstanding. And you know, there's lots of different things in there. Keep commenting with us. And we'll interact with you and kind of get your ideas about Heaven and Earth as we talk about it. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I need to pull up the live chat myself. So I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna pull out the live chat. Yeah. But this week's episode, what I enjoyed about this week's episode, every time there's a cold open, I sort of am jarred. Like, why is there a cold open? This must be really serious. So this week's episode took us to the final moments of the doldrums, and this time gave it to us from Jamie POV. And we knew, we didn't even have to see it. We knew that Jamie would not take kindly at all to Claire being kidnapped by the British again and again and again. So Jamie and Claire are apart in this episode, yet as the title of the episode suggests, they are trying everything. They are moving heaven and earth to get back to one another. But at the same time, they face several obstacles. It's quite difficult for them in different ways, and but definitely on both sides. So Katie, what stood out most to you about tonight's episode?
Well, one of the first things that stood out to me the most was Elias. Am I pronouncing his name right?
Elias Pound.
Elias Pound. I really loved him, and we had talked last week during the doldrums about how, the captain and how Mr. Pound at that time were so young. They were just, they looked like babies. And then to find out that Elias went to sea as a 7-year-old boy, and he's only 14 now. I mean, he's lived a very hard and tragic life. And, he even goes so far later as to ask Claire how she does it, how she manages loss and still maintains, her composure. And it just shows how much of a kid he still is. And so I feel so much for him. And I think Claire really connects with him so much because she sees him as a child, and she sort of brings him in like she would comfort her own child at some point. And so Elias, he broke my heart tonight.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing is that you're right. They are quite young. Like Elias is 14, and I don't think they ever mention it in the show. I don't think they mentioned it, but I believe from the books that Captain Leonard is like 19, right? So both of these men are quite young. But yeah, in this episode, Claire is being like this badass doctor. She's like a medical detective of sorts, and Elias Pound is her number 2 man. Like Elias Pound is her guy. Like when we say Claire is ride or die for Jamie, Elias Pound was ride or die for Claire. Like no matter what Claire needed, Elias was there. And whenever anyone else started to give Claire some back talk, he was like, no. This is on Captain's orders. So you're going to do what she's asked you to do. And you're not going to talk back about it. So I love that about Elias. Elias was, even in the short period that they knew each other, Elias was so loyal, and he was a great number 2. And I agree. His story broke my heart. But at the same time, when Claire says that, calls him an impressive young man, I agree. He's quite impressive. I mean, as a 7-year-old, to leave home, to leave your mother, and essentially become a sailor, and you spent the last 7 years of your life doing this. I think Elias is remarkable.
He is, and you're right. He's so remarkable, and he is truly. It was wonderful to see him kind of connect with Claire and develop a bond with her, and to support her and to show up, especially when what's his face, the cook,
God,
popping up, like being all. I'm like, he surely has something else to do. But he's always popping up threatening Claire, and there was Elias to say, these are Captain's orders, you need to listen to her.
Yeah.
And he was a good guy. He was a remarkable young man.
He was a really good boy. And you just think about it. I mean, we don't get anything. Let me not say that. We don't get very much of Elias's backstory, but you can just imagine he comes from maybe a small town, a small village, and he might not have very many opportunities, but he has this uncle that is a commander on the Triton. So you can imagine his mother just sending him off, that this is the best that I can do for you, is to give you this opportunity to become a sailor and make a better life for yourself, better than I could ever give you, and here, take this rabbit's foot for luck and for health. And she sends him on his way, right? So like you just generate this entire backstory in the back of your mind about what Elias's sort of the trajectory of his character, and for spending all that time on board a ship, he's surprisingly like not cynical. I don't know. I can't think of a word to describe it.
Like he does seem oddly hopeful.
Yeah. I mean, he's not cynical. He's very eager to help Claire however he can help her. He's eager to defend her however he can defend her. So I don't know, perhaps he sees Claire as a mother figure, and that's part of the connection between them. But in any event, I really liked it. I was really, really sad that he died.
And that was the moment that we finally got to see Claire lose those compartmentalizations. So she said, we compartmentalize, but Quigley wasn't my friend. That's what she says to Elias. But at the very end, she goes, I should have known. I just thought he was tired. Yeah. And so that's the moment that, I can compartmentalize these things, but Elias was my friend.
Yeah.
He was the person I looked to. Elias, and that's the moment she can break down.
Yeah. And then, wait, Katie, you should say what you were going to say. I'm so emotional.
No, I was just thinking, a friend should do it.
Yes.
like closing up that last stitch in the fabric and with the needle through the nose. Like that's how you make sure that they're really dead. Like this episode was so cool in the fact that we got to know so much about how Claire knows how to contain something and organize something. But then it was also very interesting to see how they handle deaths at sea and to know these little bitty things.
Yeah.
But when she did that for Elias, and she tells him, your mother would have been proud of you.
Yeah. And then returns that rabbit foot to him.
Yes, and that was really, really a lovely, sad, heartbreaking scene.
It was. Because you could tell sort of earlier in the episode when Elias loses his friend, Claire is there for him, right? And is there as Elias is sewing the last stitch through his friend's nose, and is there when Captain Leonard is leading the services on deck, and she observes Elias crying. And, even though Claire is not a very religious person, she participates in the services, and she says amen, right? So at the end, and, when Elias comes to her later that evening, she does try to offer support to the best of her ability. And then to see us come to the end, and it's Claire who is then offering, who's sort of guiding Elias to that end, right? So when he's sick and when he's like calling out for his mother and he's moaning, she comforts him. And then in that last moment as he's about to be buried at sea, she's the one who sews that last stitch through his nose. I wasn't expecting to love Elias as much as I do.
I know.
When I talk about it, I wasn't expecting to love Elias as much as I do.
Yeah, I got really attached to him very quickly. Yeah. And there was all this imagery tonight of the bodies being dumped into the water, and like bodies coming out, like they find the body in the creme de menthe.
Oh yeah,
and comes out, and then bodies going into the water, and that's so kind of juxtaposed with the end of the episode, Claire diving into the water as someone who is living. Yeah. And there was like a whole bunch of that imagery that I was like connecting it, like, oh, I see what you're doing here.
I see what you're doing, Outlander, Team Outlander. No, that was I watched the like Inside Outlander afterwards, and they talked a little bit about filming, and how they had like they had like a separate pool, and they had cameras in the bottom of the pool. So like the dummies that were wrapped up would come in, and you could get those really moving shots of the bodies like sinking into the water. But yeah, you have to imagine. So I think about, I can't remember the name of the writer of tonight's episode, but you think about all the research, even last week's episode as well, all the research that has to be done in order to write the dialogue, like the dialogue of the captains and of the sailors as they're referencing different parts of the ship, as well as sort of different practices and things of that nature. So you have to imagine they do quite a lot of research in order to get that right. Even sort of the singular scene of the burial at sea, how much research they must have had to do in order to properly describe it and characterize it and then portray it for us to be able to watch and see this as something authentic. So I really admire that. As someone who sort of does research in my real life, I always admire when other people do great research. Hello?
Oh, sorry, it froze for a second. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to wait until she comes back.
I'm here.
Yeah. No, researching all of that can be so tedious, and you want to make sure that you get everything right. I admire people greatly who can say, I'm going to write this and then research it and get it all down and make it as authentic as possible, because oh my gosh, historical things, like I want to be accurate, but I don't think I have it in me to put forth like all the true effort that it comes with it. So, just hats off to them, because it was really wonderful, all of that tonight.
Absolutely. Although I do have to ask though, and we were talking about this earlier, Kate, and I hope those of our friends who are watching with us will comment as well. I have the live chat up, so I can read your comments. But what's up with all the rabbits? And I get that it's a thread, right? So you think about it on Culloden, Jamie sees a bunny rabbit. Baby Bree has a stuffed rabbit. Tonight, there's a rabbit's foot. So I get that it's supposed to be a thread throughout the season, but what exactly are the rabbits supposed to signify? Is it just sort of a reminder about Bree? Or that's something that I'm still confused about. So I hope that our friends who are watching, if you guys have any insights, that you could share it with us. Or, I mean, Katie, what do you think? I'm confused about it. I mean, it isn't distracting or anything, but I do wonder what the writers want us to get from it.
See, I mean, I've been wondering that too, just because I like to try and piece things together and kind of make those threads through the whole thing. And I can't figure out anything about the rabbit, because just regular symbolism about the rabbit doesn't seem to have much bearing on what's going on. And so like
procreation or something like this is what rabbits typically signify.
Yeah, it said like rabbits typically symbolize like procreation or fertility or like Mother Earth, things like that. And I was just very, I don't know, maybe, I mean, they had a kid, so, and I'm reaching. So maybe later in the season, there's a bigger answer there.
Yeah, well, Whitney Willie said that I don't get the bunny references either. Maybe we'll find out later. And then Chelsea Parker says, I think there's something rabbit related coming. Perhaps when there's a crocodile head. And then Barbara WM says, rabbits are traditionally a symbol of life. That's why they became associated with Easter. Okay, that makes sense. That makes actually quite a bit of sense to me. Because on Culloden, where Jamie is sort of struggling to live, and then certainly tonight when the rabbit's foot to luck, which represents luck and health. So that actually, Barbara, I see what you're saying. That makes quite a bit of sense to me.
Yeah, and then Bree having a bunny rabbit symbolize like new life for the
absolutely. Oh, that's a good point as well. That's a good point.
I can get behind that.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. I buy that. I just wish, well, I don't know. I admire subtlety and nuance.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do need to be hit over the head with something.
Exactly. Sometimes you need to like hit me with it for me to get go, oh yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for clarifying that one.
That does make sense. Speaking of making sense or not making sense, I don't understand how Harry Tompkins can escape this fire and then randomly show up on the porpoise, and this man is legitimately ruining lives. Like, he is a life ruiner.
I mean, how? Who? When they first brought him in, I'll admit that I was like, wow, he looks familiar. And then it took me a second, and I was like, wait, why is he here? Like, how did he get here? Like, how big of a coincidence is it that he ends up on this ship?
Yeah.
And he's like, they're going to turn Jamie in.
Yeah. I've been sold him out.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, hey, because he's ruined my life.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I feel like Harry Tompkins brought this on himself. Like, you're the one who was looking for a promotion, so you stuck your nose where you shouldn't have stuck your nose. And then Ian was trying to defend his uncle and defend his own life. So yeah, he scarred you. And then I'm not even that mad that you got pressed into service.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm mad about it is because you're here and you can continue to ruin Jamie's life. So I still don't understand why he felt like, because with Captain Leonard, I get it, right? So it's sort of it's calculated, as well as a sense of duty, right? That he wants to appeal to the admiral for command of his own ship, and the chances of him getting that increase if he turns in this man who's wanted for very serious crimes. But then also, as an officer of a British officer, he feels duty bound, as he said, to turn in someone who is a fugitive from the law. So Captain Leonard, it's calculated to a certain extent, but I get it. But Harry, I don't get it. I mean, Harry, he's not about to get a promotion. He's not about to get sort of anything. So I don't understand what he gets out of selling Jamie out, except doing it just for the sake of it.
Yeah, it's just kind of sort of in retribution, and that's all. And he's just, I mean, he's awful. He really is awful. And Whitney Willie says, you know, I didn't get why he didn't out Claire when she got him quarantined.
That's a good question. That's a really, really fantastic point.
Whenever she, you know, whispers into the bars, you know, be careful of Howard because he really has it. Like, why in the world did this man not just say, hey, she knows she's trying to kill me. She knows I'm not really sick. Like, why didn't he say something then? I mean, he's like such a loudmouth all the rest of the time.
Yeah, I don't get that either. But I mean, I see the connection it makes, right? Because now we know why Captain Leonard was so adamant that Claire stay with them. It wasn't just for the sake of helping with the disease. There's this additional ulterior motives. But I don't understand sort of Harry's positioning here. I don't understand his motives, and I don't understand why he's done what he's done, but he's done it, and that's sort of, I mean, we have to deal with the consequences of it. Oh my goodness. In the opening scene, when they were breaking up those casks, and then we get later on and they break open the cask and John Barton's dead body comes flowing out of the creme de menthe, and you're just like, ew. Oh no.
When it showed them like breaking into those casks and that green liquid coming out, I was like, oh no. Oh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be so gross here in a minute. And then it kind of like cut off. And I was like, that's coming back sometime. And I bet that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And then he just,
I know, that was really gross. But I mean, Claire sort of tried to explain the situation, and she actually could have killed Tompkins, but she doesn't, right? So that Hippocratic oath again, first do no harm. So she takes it very seriously, and she doesn't kill him. She just has him quarantined for typhoid.
Yes, and I guess, I mean, I understand that, you know, everyone already knew who Claire was, but at the same time, I wonder why Tompkins didn't say something to get himself out of danger.
Yeah. I've actually, because you remember when, gosh, what was the cook's name? It starts with a C. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But the cook, remember when Claire sort of sneaks into Captain Leonard's office,
yes,
looking for the name of the Portuguese frigate. She's thinking that it might be the Bruxa, and if you know, it's not. And the cook, who, oh gosh, I'm gonna be so mad at myself that I can't remember his name. He comes in on her, right? And he's like, what, you know, he asks her what she's doing. He's very suspicious of her, and she says, if you don't let me leave, I am going to scream, and I'm going to tell everyone that you tried to violate me. Mm-hmm. You might have the captain's interest, but I have the captain's trust. And perhaps that's what's going on in Tompkins' minds. Tompkins is like, I can say whatever I want. I can, you know, but she's already have me labeled as the second carrier of this disease, and they're going to trust her over me. So maybe I should just shut up.
And that's true. I guess for being the wife of someone so wanted and so criminal, Captain Leonard really does put a whole lot of trust in Claire and her practices and her word. And
absolutely.
And yeah, he trusts her, and she does take care of business. She does help, you know, his men, and she, you know, she helps heal people. And but that cook shows up like all the time, just like always like he's such a like creeper. He's just like, she's sitting at the you know, side of the boat looking out over the water, and he's like, you know, 11 people die today, that you better hope that less die tomorrow. And I'm just like, he just needs to go do something else.
I know, being so judgy. And it's like, excuse me, the ship was a disaster when Claire came on board. At least she's able to save some lives. Can you just calm down?
I know, and he's like, she's using all my pots to boil water, and I'm like, oh, God bless your pots. Just chill out, dude. It's gonna be okay.
No, but I think that's part and parcel of the time, right? That, you know, even this like germ theory and ideas of sort of disease being spread, like that was, I mean, I guess the implication is that a cook wouldn't know about this, right? And it's even Captain Leonard, who's when they come to get Howard in the kitchen, and the cook is like, what are you talking about? Sick is sick. This guy isn't sick. I'm not going to give up my last kitchen hand. And Captain Leonard says something like, you know, we might not understand it, but that doesn't make it any less voracious. Mm-hmm. So, and that I think is indicative of that trust that he has in her, that, you know, he recognizes her as a learned person, as a doctor, as a scientist of sorts. So even though he doesn't understand it, he is trusting in her to do these things. But one thing that we do want to talk about, maybe, I don't know, I'm going to put it out there, is that, you know, we've how many of these videos have we recorded, and how many times have we said that we are concerned about use of rape, representations of rape? And what did Claire do tonight? Claire threatened to accuse a man of rape. I mean, I get that it was a difficult situation she was in, right? And he might have actually assaulted her, but even her using that threat, I don't know. How do we feel about that?
Yeah. See, this is complicated because as she was saying that, as I was watching it the first time and she started doing that, I went, no. Like, I knew that she was in a tough situation. I really don't think the cook would have assaulted. I mean, he might have like laid his hands on her, but I don't think that he would have like sexually assaulted her. But when she says that, I was like, oh wow, this is this flip side of this coin here. This is the problematic part we're talking about. Yeah. And that was because I don't fault Claire for using something that she knows will put some distance between them. But at the same time, this episode, you have another vague mention of rape when Jamie says, you know, you'll even go through hell.
Oh.
And you know that he's talking about his time with Black Jack Randall.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So there was this weird parallel there between these two. Like, one, you know, I'll scream and they'll believe me because I have the captain's trust. And then you have Jamie who's like, you'll go through hell for the person you love. And you know he's referring to his time. Yeah. And that unsettled me quite a bit. I still don't really know how I feel about that situation.
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about Jamie now, or do you want to finish talking about Claire's situation?
We can go wherever you want to go.
Okay, let's finish talking about Claire real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll get into Jamie, because I think what you've mentioned is really important, and I want us to give it the proper time in the proper context.
Yes.
But that is so with Claire threatening to, I even hate saying this phrase, like, to cry rape. Oh, I hate saying that.
I know.
But I said it, and I apologize.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm uncomfortable with that. I'm uncomfortable. I get that she was in a tough situation. I get that she probably did fear for her safety, and she was trying to say anything, whatever would motivate this cook to get out of her way. And she did that, and she was successful. But the thing is, like, as soon as she got out, she was like, I can't even worry about this cook. I need to focus on saving Jamie. Hashtag save Jamie. Like that is the next mission. So you find Harry Tompkins, discredit Harry Tompkins, which she did, and then get off that ship so they can't keep her as bait in order to essentially lure Jamie into being arrested and then being hung. Which is where our new friend Annika comes in. And you, Katie, you were live tweeting tonight.
Yes.
Which I think is important to say because I think you were hilarious, as per usual. But when you said that Annika was the MVP of the episode, like, maybe we should just do that every week, name an MVP of the episode. Last week was Yi and Cho. This week can be Annika.
Annika and her goats are the MVP of this episode.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I loved her because even though there was a bit of a language barrier between her and Claire.
Wait, can I just interrupt? Was it just me, or did Annika's English get better over the course of the episode? Because I felt like she could, when they first met, she could barely string like 2 or 3 words in English together. And by the end, she was like, Claire, you have to go. They're going to hang your husband, like in full sentences. He's not going to drown. I have a raft. And you're just like, I don't understand what's going on. But that was just my observation. I apologize for interrupting.
No, I have a theory about that.
Please.
That I generated while I was watching this the first time, because I noticed that too. And I was like, oh, keep do. And Claire's like, keep do. And then, you have Annika who's like, we're going to go, my goats need grass and, all this stuff. But I think that Annika, I think she's playing them.
Whoa!
Using her language barrier to kind of be observant and listen and hear. And I think if you want to know what's going on in that ship, I bet you could ask Annika and she would know, because people probably say a whole bunch of crap around her.
Okay.
You don't think that she knows or understands them, but I bet she got ears. I bet she knows everything on that.
I didn't even consider that.
I think she knows everything that goes on, and that's why she gets Claire during that time frame, because she knows the guards are changing. She knows no one's really paying attention. She got this raft. Everyone's like, oh, it's just Annika, she's just walking around catching some air. And then she's like, Claire, you gotta go.
You're like, I've been listening. She's like, I'm going to hang your husband.
You need to leave now. Like, get on this little raft. Take your clothes off. She's like, even here. She's like, Claire, take your clothes off. I'm gonna wrap them in this thing. We're gonna tie it to this raft, and
this money.
Yeah, she's like, the water will take you. The water will take you. And I'm just, Annika has it.
Thank you, Annika.
Annika has it.
Like when she's, my goats need grass. You're just like, okay. And then when she comes, I think it's her and her husband meet Claire after it's the evening after when Claire is still mourning Elias's death, and Annika and her husband come up and they're like, land, you can smell it.
Yeah.
And she's like, my goats need grass. Wink. No, wait, let me wink. My goats need grass. And then everything clicks for Claire.
She's like, oh my gosh, my goats need grass. Yes, our goats need grass. But yeah, I think Annika's like, I think she's got this. She's, she's listening. She got her ears open. She's paying attention. She knows how things go. That's what I think.
Barbara just said, my goats need grass is my new go-to excuse for everything.
Exactly. I got someplace to be. My goats need grass.
That's hilarious. And it can literally mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of these bills. My goats need grass.
Need grass. Okay.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, I like your theory about Annika sort of being a secret agent of sorts. Like, you think about it, Claire being this medical detective and Annika, let us not call her a sidekick. Let us call her a partner in crime.
Yeah.
Annika, this super sleuth, undercover, I would watch that TV show, a Claire and Annika spinoff.
Yes. Where it's like
their adventures.
Yes, because even Annika's like watching those guys and she's like, go, now's the time to go. Go. And Claire takes off and, you know, of course she runs into Captain Leonard and he's like, so you're going for looking for herbs in the direction of the port?
Oh my gosh.
Like,
Captain Leonard.
Pause is too long. She's like, am I? I'm like, that's too long of a pause, Claire.
No, she's like, I was looking for herbs. Am I in the direction of the port? I have, but the thing is that, and we come back to Captain Leonard, and I don't like that he kidnaps Claire. I don't like that he's holding her against her will, that he's planning on using her as bait to arrest her husband and use her husband as a stepping stone to get a promotion. I mean, all of these things I don't like, but I don't know if I can say unequivocally that I don't like Captain Leonard. Like, I'm not sure that I'm willing to go that far, because I feel like even Claire has a level of sympathy for him that I get from her, which is causing me to also have sympathy for him, even though I'm not liking what he's doing at all.
See, I'm at that same issue, and I guess I have that same issue. I do not like what he's done. I don't like that he's using Jamie as like this bartering tool to get a promotion. I don't like the way he's handling things, and you know, he gets what he wants from Claire, and then he's sort of like, yeah, I'm sorry that your husband's gonna die, but it happens. But I do feel, I don't know, he's to be so young and in a position of power, and I think the only thing he's got in his mind is climbing the ranks.
Yeah.
And if he can get this early on as proving his worth on this ship full of, very sick men and getting it to where it was supposed to go, and also capturing this criminal, then he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Because, what young man who started off as like probably like the second to last person that was ever going to be captain of this ship is now captain of the ship?
Yeah.
He's not going to turn down the opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't fault him, but at the same time, you cannot like what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a solid assessment of that particular character. But now that Claire, I guess now I wonder, I'm curious, how is Captain Leonard gonna find out that Claire has bounced? And what is Captain Leonard's next step? Like that, clearly the concern is that Claire survives her jump. But I am also curious about what Captain Leonard is going to do when he realizes that Claire has bounced.
And like, how long is it going to take him to figure it out?
Yeah.
Like, where does he even start looking? Or does he just assume that she's dead now because she jumped off a boat?
Maybe.
And it's going to be really, really interesting. And see, and I was texting you, like,
while you were watching?
While I was watching. And I'm going to be completely, and I told you this, like, they're in the Caribbean. This is lots of warm water. It's open water. Like, this is where the sharks live. Like, and I know she makes it to shore, but my whole body was like secondhand anxiety about how many like sharks are in the water there. Going, I'd be like, nope.
You're gonna have to trust Annika, because Annika says that there's this raft, the water's gonna carry you, there's this island, like you can see it, right? What does she say? Carburn, I think she said. Right? So if Annika says that she's gonna be okay, then we're just gonna have to trust in Annika.
Well, I know she makes it to shore, but still, in my mind, if I were Claire, I'd probably be having a panic attack by the time I reach shore. If I would just be like, but I guess maybe she's not.
Here's the thing, right? So the title of the episode is Heaven and Earth, and Jamie specifically says these words. Fergus specifically says these words. But even though Claire never says these words, it is so evident that she is like, she will move heaven and earth in order to save her man. And if that means, and remember, she's hesitant. She's scared. Of course, I mean, anyone would be scared to make that jump in the middle of the night. You don't know what's out there. But all Annika says, if you don't do this, they are going to get your husband and they are going to hang him. And that snaps Claire, right? Mm-hmm. And she will do anything in order to save her man's leg. So if that means I'm jumping into shark-infested waters in the middle of the night and I don't know if I'm going to survive, I'm going to move heaven and earth. I'm going to take this chance in order to save my man. We've always said Claire is ride or die. We have always said it. And that's just part of her character.
I said we got to move on, because I'm sitting here having anxiety about shark attacks in dark waters or something. Ooh, mercy. Have mercy. Like, it seriously, apparently I didn't realize that was something that was quite triggering to me until this moment where I'm just like, I
just want to say one more thing about the porpoise before we move on to Jamie. Okay. And that is, our friends who have read the books and our friends like Katie who have Googled,
yes,
know that there is a major character that we were supposed to meet on the porpoise, that Claire was supposed to meet on the porpoise, that she has not met. So that leaves, I think, a very big question as to how Claire is going to come into contact with this character for the first time. If not on the porpoise, then when? So that's all I say. That's all I want to say about it before moving on. But I thought it was important to say that.
And I'm not saying anything because I'm not good with these things.
Okay. That's all. Okay. So Jamie is on the Artemis. And as I said at the beginning, we knew this man was not going to take kindly to his wife being kidnapped. I thought Jamie sort of, like, so when he sort of rips that spyglass from the man's hand and he sees Claire struggling, and then he starts like calling out all these orders. And it's like, Jamie, but you're not the captain.
I was like, baby, what are you doing? You are not the captain of the ship. This is not going to go over well.
I know, and it didn't. It really didn't.
Yeah.
Because then he's spent the entire episode locked up. He couldn't see Yi Tian-cho, so Yi Tian-cho can't do the acupuncture for him. So the seasickness is back.
Yeah.
And then there's major conflict with Fergus.
Yes. I have issues.
I don't know about you, but
notes. I wrote notes when I was watching this the first time. I have notes.
Well, okay. I'll say this and I'll turn it over to you with your notes. But so before watching the episode, just watching the preview, I was actually quite shocked. I mean, I was sort of angry. Maybe angry isn't the right word, but I was frustrated with Fergus because I'm like, Fergus, you're like, me lord, your father figure, they've locked him up. And you seriously won't go get the keys in order to free him? So I was very much frustrated with Fergus. But after watching the episode, I was Team Fergus on this.
And I felt the same way because I understand Jamie's frustration and that his desire, to get to Claire and to get Claire back and all that stuff. I get it. But I thought, I thought that Jamie was very manipulative when it came to Fergus. Like, you don't know what love is if you aren't willing to do these things.
Can I read the quote?
Yes, read the quote.
So Jamie says, so this is when Jamie is asking Fergus to steal the keys. Fergus is hesitant. And then Jamie gets really heated. Like, it goes from like 0 to 100, like really quick. And Jamie says, what good are you, you damn fool? I see I was right to withhold my blessing from you. Proves you didn't ken what love is. And Fergus says, you do not mean that, me lord. How could you say that? And Jamie says, because if you did, You would move heaven and earth. You would risk arrest and death, even hell. And then the quote continues, until you risk it all, you cannot speak of love.
Yes. And
that is a manipulation.
Oh, he's so manipulative. And then he even kind of backs it up a bit. And he's like, listen, I'll give you my blessing if you do this. And I'm just like, dude, you are like, I know you're worried. I know you're desperate. I know that all of these emotions are going through you right now. But at the same time, are you really going to risk Fergus's life? Are you going to put him in a position where he could be locked up right along with you, or he could be hurt? And this is a kid that you helped raise, you know, that you've seen grow up. And I understand Jamie's frustration and Jamie's worry, but I really think he was so out of line with Fergus then, because that really hurt Fergus, and it hurt me for Fergus.
It was very hurtful. But I guess that makes you. I don't know. It makes me think a little bit about the love that Jamie and Claire have for each other, because we've said, I mean, I've said it explicitly, you know, in talking with you, Katie, and talking with our friends, that's part, I mean, might be the entire reason why I'm here is for Jamie and Claire. But you do have to wonder if Jamie is willing to risk the life of a young man to him that is a son to him in order to get to Claire. That does seem extreme.
And also you have to take into consideration that if something happened to Fergus, Marsali is vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what tips Fergus to make him say, there's no way I'm risking this, was listening to those men make those comments about, you know, her maybe being a virgin or her not being one for long if they got a hold of her.
A threat of rape.
Yeah.
A threat of rape.
And Fergus is like, you know, I'm not doing this. Yeah. I'm not risking her. I know you're worried, but I'm not risking this. There's another way. We can figure out a different way. And they did.
Yeah. No, and I mean, when Fergus, I think, is right when he says that, you know, you asked me if I knew what love meant. You asked me if I was willing to move heaven and earth. And it's like, in this interaction with you, me Lord, this is me moving heaven and earth, right? This is me taking a massive risk by pushing back against you for the sake of this woman I love.
Yes. And I loved that. I loved Fergus this episode because I've seen him come into his own, but this episode was really kind of the one times that I saw him as sort of an adult figure compared to Jamie. Yeah. As saying, I have these experiences too. I can make these decisions. And even though they don't line up together right now between you and I, this is how we can approach the same situation differently.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I think I like the way you described that, you know, in this situation, Fergus is very much the adult. Marsali is very much the adult. Yes. And Jamie is not. I mean, I guess Jamie is so overwhelmed by his fear for Claire. He's so overwhelmed with the seasickness. He's so overwhelmed with desperation that it is up to these other characters who do care about him deeply to make those informed adult decisions.
And they do it really well. And sometimes, and I think, I don't remember who said, it might have been just in conversation, talking about how Jamie and Claire are both very passionate people. And Jamie sometimes he's very, you know, short, not really, he has a short fuse. Like he wants something done, he does it. And then we think about the consequences later. And in this case, he's sort of locked up and can't act on those consequences. And Fergus is the one who takes the time to think it out. Yeah. And it's not going to make a difference because once they get to Jamaica, they're going to have to figure out, you know, that this is a trap anyway. Yeah. Because the captain of their ship is in on it.
Yeah, he is. Captain Rains. But can I just say that I love that Fergus went to Marsali.
Yes.
I love that after the conversation with Jamie, he goes straight to Marsali and they talk it out. And it's, as you said, right? It's this conversation where Marsali is like, okay, you can do this, but if you get killed or locked up, I'm just going to be here by myself.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do then? Right. So it's very much, I like that. I like their partnership. And I know in the, like we were, let me not, maybe concern is the wrong word, but I think last week we talked about the age difference, that Marsali is like 15 or 16 and Fergus is, I think 30, maybe in his late 20s, early 30s. And potentially with this age difference, what would that mean, or what could that mean for their relationship? And several of the people who were chatting with us last week said that, you know, Marsali is very much an adult. Even in her youth, she's very much an adult in a way that even her full-grown mother is not an adult. And I think that was very, very, very evident in tonight's episode. It was evident in the interaction that Marsali had with Fergus. And it was certainly evident in the interaction that Marsali had with Jamie at the end, when it's Marsali who's gone to Captain Rains and said, you know, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make him give you his word. He won't rebel against you. And there you can leave him out, right? And Marsali, when Jamie is trying to like push back on this, Marsali is the one who goes to Jamie and says, you do not know what Fergus has done for you. I mean, he did this for me, but he did this for you as well. And basically, Marsali says, you need to grow up. I mean, she doesn't say those words, but essentially, Marsali says, you need to grow up. So, I like Marsali. And that wasn't necessarily the point of what I was saying, but that's where I get to, is that I like Marsali quite a bit.
Well, see, and I know last week's episode, I was very much still on the fence about Marsali, just because I have all these, you know, underlying feelings about her mom. But this episode, I know she's nothing like Leary. She's very much her own woman. She can make her own decisions. She's a very adult, and she thinks about things very critically. And I like her and Fergus together. I really loved that when they came together and they talked, and he, you know, got her opinion. He needed that sounding board, and she was there for him. Yeah. And she gave her opinions, and so I enjoyed that, and that really sort of turned me to her side. And so I'm here now. I know I threw a whole bunch of shade her way.
You were so shady last week.
I know I did.
But now we are Team Fursali.
Yes, we're Team Fursali. I've grown and changed, and that's important, to grow and change.
Exactly. But can I say something? And I'm gonna say it. And I don't want our friends who are watching to be mad at me. But I'm gonna say it. I guess I don't know that I want to see non-Jamie and Claire sexy times. I'm just gonna put that out there, and I'm wondering how other people are feeling about this, because when Fergus and Marsali, they're kissing, it's getting heated. I mean, eventually Fergus pulls back, but even like the prospect of watching Fergus and Marsali have sexy times, I wasn't at all wanting to watch that. Like, I only really am here for Jamie and Claire, like to see Jamie and Claire have sexy times. So even though I'm on the Fursali ship, I don't know that I need to see any intimacy from them.
See, and
don't be mad at me.
No, I'm not at all. And I have this different level to it. At first, whenever they started kissing, I was like, okay, Fergus has a nice jawline. I almost slapped myself, because I was like, you've watched him grow up, like from a child. And I'm like,
okay.
Where I'm like, I shouldn't be watching this. I've watched him grow into a young man, and he doesn't need to be doing these things. And so, but then there's the other part of me that goes, if there is And so, I can't see Fergus this way. And I'm just like, oh, I can't do this. And then there's a part of me that goes, if there's going to be, intimate moments on this show, and that sexual content or that warning pops up at the beginning of the episode, let's be real here. I have endured hell water. I am not here for any other scene involving Jamie and Claire. I have done my time.
I love how you phrase that. If I can survive hell water, you better give me Jamie Claire sexy times.
Seriously, we watched that, and I expect to be rewarded for it eventually.
Some of us had to watch it 3 or 4 times.
I only watched it twice. I only watched that episode twice because...
Let me think. I watched that episode. I think I watched it 3 times.
Oh my goodness. Bless you.
I know. Okay, fine. Fair enough. But I'm not really here for Firstly Sexy Times, even though I love them as a couple and I love them as a team. And now Jamie has given his permission for them to get married. But so I'm going to read the quote. So when Jamie gets out and he's like, you'll need to prove yourself to her as much as to me. And then Fergus cuts him off. First, let us get to Jamaica. And then Jamie says, thank you, mon fil. Feels? Fees? Sorry, I don't speak French. Which I believe is my son. So I'm wondering, like, Jamie, is this really, you just got out of being locked up? Is this really the time that you want to start lecturing Fergus? Because I'm pretty sure Fergus and Marsali just saved your behind. So give them your blessing. Yes, you must get married in front of a priest. We'll do it when we get to Jamaica. But all this other lecture, Jamie, I'm not trying to hear from you right now, my friend.
Yeah, he's like, first, let's just get to Jamaica. Then we'll worry about the rest of it. And at this moment, Fergus doesn't realize how important that line is. Like, we need to get to Jamaica first. And then they got to deal with all that stuff that comes with getting to Jamaica. And then we can talk about getting married in front of a priest, since it's so important to you. But there's so many other things that we really need to worry about right now.
Yeah. But at least Jamie says thank you.
He does.
Right? At least he says thank you to Fergus. At least he says thank you to Marsali. At least he's finally sort of gotten out of his bubble and he's given them his blessing. So now we can have progress.
Yes.
I do want to read some of the comments about the Firstly Sexy Times because you guys are cracking me up and I love it. Whitney Willie says, LMAO me either. I looked away when I thought they were going to get it on. Fergus is still a little boy in my eyes. Agreed. Barbara WM says, I don't mind Firstly Sexy Times. Those two have grown on me. I like the TV couple better than the book couple, in fact. And, I think I have to agree with that. Although I am curious to see how the relationship, how they portray it later on. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I feel like there are some things that happen in the book that really, really put me off Fergus. So I'm wondering how far they're going to take that in the show. But I agree with that, Barbara. Sandra Johnson, it doesn't bother me none. Go for it. I feel you, Sandra. So there's some mixed feelings in the crowd. And I get it.
I understand.
I understand as well.
I'm there too. I don't.
So Annika, well, here's the thing though. I know we said Annika was the MVP of the episode, but Fergus might be the MVP of the episode. Let us say Firstly might be the MVP of the episode as well. So maybe tonight is a tie. It's a tie between Annika for Claire and then Firstly for Jamie.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. I can go with that.
Okay.
I can that.
I love it. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't so thinking overall about the episode, I feel like it was it's exactly the sentiment that you said at the beginning, that this episode felt way more stagnant than last week's episode. So stuff happened, but I feel like next week's episode is the episode that I'm trying to get to. That's what I'm trying to get to. So, and we're not, at least now, they're within Jamaica, or they're within the islands, right? So there isn't much time left on the boat. I mean, Claire isn't even on a boat anymore. So at least the story might continue to pick up speed now.
See, that's what I was thinking. Now that they're sort of in reach of their destination, I think it's 3 episodes. This last 3 episodes, right?
Yeah, there's only 3 episodes left.
This last 3 episodes, I think it's gonna just kind of be very quick. It's gonna like hit us, back to back to back. So, yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm also really excited to see what we're building towards.
Yeah.
For these last 3 episodes.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, Leonard is still out to get Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
So that situation has to be resolved. And girl, we haven't even seen Ian in how many episodes? I mean, I guess that's sort of in the back of our minds. Yeah, but that's the purpose of this entire trip, is to get Ian back. So eventually we're going to have to get some resolution on that as well. So that's all coming. It's all coming.
We've got to find Ian.
Yeah, Ian, who hopefully he's keeping quiet. So they'll just keep him alive and sell him once they get to Jamaica.
Yeah, hopefully won't be a smart mouth.
Who's going to buy him? I wonder. Wink.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say that while we were talking about MVPs, Barbara pointed out Elias as the MVP, and that's actually true. That's actually really true. Elias Pound, Mr. Pound, was an MVP as well.
He was.
Agreed. Okay, Katie, that's all I've got. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I guess I'll just hit on one comment that we didn't get to, but Andrea, however, I hope I'm saying it right. I am with you, Jamie, with those glasses, looking at the pictures of Bree with that shirt kind of split open a bit. I was there. That was my aesthetic. That was beautiful. And yes, I'm there with you. And I would like a still of that. That would be nice.
Let's get you a screenshot. Let's get you a screenshot
of him, because that was nice. I love
or a GIF. Let's get you guys a GIF of it.
Yes. Like, I love him with his little glass. I mean, yes, sir. You have aged well.
Sweet. Because he still has the photographs, and he looks at the photographs, and Claire is even in some of them. So
yes,
you can imagine that would hopefully bring some comfort.
And at the same time, like, the door opens, and I'm like, Jamie, put those pictures away quick. Like, these are really not the, people are going to ask questions if they see these. Put them up. Yeah. He's just kind of sitting there with them. I was like, come on.
I wasn't expecting anybody. No, but we'll get you a GIF. We'll get you a GIF of that moment. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I know how to do it. So let me see if I can work my magic a little bit.
Who's gonna work her magic for me?
I'm gonna see if I can get you guys a GIF of it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching us chat about tonight's episode. We'll see you back here next week is the episode, do you know what the episode is called? Is it Turtle Soup?
Yeah, I think it's Turtle Soup.
Okay. We will see you back here for next week's episode. To all our friends in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving. I hope that this week is filled with fun, food, Black Friday shopping, and some great family time as well. So we wish you a very happy Thanksgiving and a great week. Safe travels if you're traveling. And yeah, we'll see you back here next week. Katie?
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a great week. And I'm still on Barbara's phrase again. My goats need grass. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love you guys. Happy Thanksgiving and thank you.
Bye.